In Bald Knob, Arkansas, on June 6, 1995, a 11-year-old Lacey Phillips got dropped off at her mom's work by her 17-year-old sister, Darla. Mary Phillips, Lacey and Darla's mother, was employed at Automated Tax and Accounting Services in Bald Knob, Arkansas as a bookkeeper, and she had planned to take part of her day off to take her daughter Lacey to a dentist appointment. So Lacey got dropped off with her mom, Mary, in preparation for going to a dentist appointment, but that didn't happen. A man had came into the business earlier in the day to borrow some books, and he came back before Mary and Lacey had a chance to leave to go to the dentist to return the books. But the man got a little bit angry because he said that Mary had given him the wrong book, and he said, "I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to rob you." I can't imagine how terrifying those words must be coming from another individual. So the man told Mary to lay down on her stomach, and he told Lacey to lay down on top of her mom. He took some money from the register, and then he took them to a back room. The man took Lacey into a bathroom, he set her in a chair, and he tied her to that chair. After tying up Lacey and presumably tying up Mary, the man left the shop, but he returned. When he returned, of course, Lacey was frightened, and she asked the man to not hurt her mom. And he said, I'm going to hurt you. Again, Lacey was just 11 years old, but he choked Lacey until she passed out, and then he repeatedly hit her in the head with the butt of a BB gun that he had with him. From Lacey's testimony, she woke up, she saw all the blood on herself, she threw up, and then she passed back out. After the man did that to Lacey, he went back to her mother, Mary. Mary Phillips was found with her hands tied behind her back with wire, and she had been raped. She also had the cord from a Mr. coffee maker wrapped around her neck. When police found Mary and Lacey, Mary was deceased, laying on the floor. She was nude from the waist down. Police actually believed that Lacey was also deceased. They were actually taking photographs of Lacey when she came to. Lacey had multiple skull fractures, and she had to have emergency surgery. According to the surgeon that testified at the trial, several bone fragments had gone into Lacey's brain. At the age of 34, Mary Phillips died, leaving behind 3 children, a 17-year-old, a 15-year-old, and an 11-year-old. Even being so young, Lacey Phillips was actually pivotal in the perpetrator being arrested. Lacey Phillips described the man that she saw that day as having dark hair, a teardrop tattoo on his face, and then tattoos on his arms. With the description that Lacey Phillips gave to police of the man that she saw that day, they went to the home of a man named Jack Harold Jones, and they asked him to come down to the police station for questioning. After police read Jack Jones his Miranda rights, he actually admitted to the crime pretty quickly. He said that he did it in retaliation to police because his wife was raped, and he said police didn't do anything about that. Jack Harold Jones was charged with capital murder and rape. He actually was convicted on both charges and sentenced to the death penalty on the capital murder charge and 30 years in prison on the rape charge. Generally, this is where I would end the video, but there is more to know about Jack Harold Jones. Almost exactly 4 years before the murder of Mary Phillips, a woman checked into the Days Inn Hotel in Fort Lauderdale, Florida on May 31st, 1991. That night, the woman, 31-year-old Lorraine Ann Barrett, was seen at a bar called the Elbow Room talking to a man. She was later seen going into an elevator at the hotel with the same man. The next day, on June 1st, the lifeless body of Lorraine Barrett was discovered. Witnesses were able to describe the man to police along with his tattoos, and a composite sketch was done, but the police never found a suspect in that case, and it wasn't until 11 years later when police took the DNA evidence they had recovered from the scene and entered it into a national system that they came back with a hit. In 2002, that DNA hit a match of a man that was sitting on Arkansas death row. So yes, it was a match to Jack Harold Jones, and he was taken from Arkansas death row to Broward County, Florida, and he went to his arraignment in Florida and pled guilty to that murder of Lorraine Barrett at his arraignment. From there, he was sent back to Arkansas death row. So that was 2 murders that Jack Jones was responsible for, but somewhere along the way, Jack Jones mailed a letter to his sister and asked her to not open it until a year after his death. It is thought that Jack Jones sent this letter to his sister in 2006 or 2007. So when Jack Jones' sister opened this letter, it had details of another murder that happened before the murder of Mary Phillips, and a murder that happened before the murder of Lorraine Barrett. This was the 1983 Broward County, Florida murder of Regina Harrison. 20-year-old Regina Harrison was murdered in Hollywood, Florida on May 2nd, 1983. Regina was found nude and she had been strangled. In 2019, DNA evidence was found from a grape kit that actually tied Jack Jones to this murder and confirmed what he had written to his sister all those years before. Police might have found that Jack Jones was responsible for this murder earlier, but there was actually another man in prison for this crime. The man named Ronald Stewart had actually committed other grapes, and so when this case came up, pled guilty to it and accepted the time. He was in prison anyway. Unfortunately, Ronald Stewart died in prison in 2008, so he died before his name was actually cleared in this murder. The court was petitioned to vacate the conviction of Ronald in the case of Regina Harrison. Jack Jones was executed on April 24th, 2017. I am going to include a photo of his last words and also a letter that he left for his attorney to read. If you want to see it, you can pause. I'm not going to give it any more attention than that. But being responsible for the 3 murders of Mary Phillips, Regina Harrison, and Lorraine Barrett made Jack Harold Jones a serial killer.